Uh-oh, there she is. Ina, you got to
Hey,
bring the camera up
Tara.
now. How
Uh, I can't. Not with my hair not combed.
Ina, Ina, are you serious? I thought you was just go put a hat on or something.
Okay, hold on. Let me at least put my scarf on my head.
There you go.
Oh my God.
So
You
how do
know,
I pronounce your name? Kara? Is it Kara?
Kara.
Kara? Kara? Would you prefer Kara?
I say Kara.
Okay, excellent. I'm gonna go with what you say. It's wonderful finally meeting you. We've spoken 2 or 3 times over the phone, but great meeting you.
Yes, thank you.
Well, you already know Ina, so that's gonna be easy. Once we get her to put her picture up, you can remember what she looks like. But what I did, I kind of prepared people for you guys. I just didn't say your name because I wanted you guys to do the introduction. But I told them it's a war on what we putting in our bodies. So that's kind of where the conversation I think is gonna go. But we want people to know who you are, what you do, and then of course Ina, what she's doing, and all that good stuff. Everett Berry should be getting on. I left him a message. Hopefully he'll jump on too. He has a farm in southern Illinois.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, so Ina, we're gonna get started. When you come online, we'll bring you in, okay?
okay.
But I'm expecting to see the video though, Ina. So I've been hyping you up, so I want people to see you. So as you guys heard me speak about earlier before we got on, before our guest joined us, you guys know block by block in every city that we're in, we want to make certain that we're organized so that we can meet the needs and also enrich the lives of our people. Food is a big part of that. As you guys may not know, there's actually a battle, and it's corporations and people who want to take away your ability to produce your own food. I've been fortunate to work with Ina and Everett and some of our other people that does gardening, but I've been checked on that by Kyra. Told me don't use that word gardening no more. And now I talk about farming. And so it's about us being aware of what's happening when it comes to food. And we got a person that's going to tell us all about that. And hopefully you can write down some information and join and support them. If we're not supporting financially each other, we're suffocating each other. Either you circulate or we suffocate. It's one or the other. And if you ignore, you're suffocating because it costs to operate every single second. So without further ado, Kara, you mind introducing yourself? I know you are a superstar in the organization that you are with.
I'm Kara Brewer Boyd. I'm the event and program coordinator for the National Black Farmers Association. A lot of times people see my name and, they'll ask me, are you Dr. Boyd's daughter? But no, I happen to be his wife. So Dr.
I was
John
gonna
Boyd,
ask you
the
that.
founder. Yes, he's my husband. And, oftentimes when people hear that, then, they assume, well, that's my role with the organization, but truly it's not. I really pride myself on my work here at the organization. That John and I do. We call it Team Boyd. And sometimes after people talk to me, they're like, well, man, you're the one that, we should have been talking to. Because like I said, I'm the program coordinator. I help write the grants. I help create the programs. And, I am a social justice advocate. Dr. Boyd is a longtime civil rights activist. And, a lot of the Black Lives Movement, when they look back, there's been a Black farmers movement for over 30 some years. And when people are talking reparations, the National Black Farmers Association was successful in securing the largest payout for Black people in the United States in American history, with $1.2 billion that was paid out for the farmers who were discriminated against. No, it was not enough. And there were many things that could be done differently. But that's a little bit of who I
No,
am
no.
and what I do.
Well, let me make sure I got this. So that's you and your husband. You guys together
Yes.
with the organization was able to secure 1.2 billion to help Black farmers. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, yes. Yes, and in fact, you know, a lot of people just don't know the story, and a lot of people when they start to look back and they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember that. I heard something about it." You know, the gentleman who drove his mule and wagon to D.C. and then drove his tractor. Well, you know, that was my husband.
Now, Ena Jones, when I connected, you guys already knew each other. So Ena, tell us who you are. You in Chi-Town, you're in North Carolina.
Virginia,
You're in
Southside
Virginia.
Virginia.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'm in Georgia. So Ena, who are you and what do you do?
I am in Chicago and I am the president and CEO of Roots and Vine Produce and Cafe and the executive director, the founding director of Green Table Talk. And we help Black farmers, co-ops, and urban growers come to market and invite them to be in our stores. You know, help them with logistics, with bringing their products to market to sell in our stores.
And how did you meet Mrs. Boyd here?
At the National Black Farmers Conference in uh, Louisiana.
In
Yes,
In
Louisiana.
Shreveport.
Louisiana. Yep, in Shreveport.
So here I am thinking I'm getting ready to do something and connect y'all. I'm like, these two superstars, I'm gonna do this. I got y'all on the phone and Ena like, I know her already. I said, wow, took all my thunder away.
Yeah. And you know what, Cara, I was just ordering some more coffee from Ms. Hawkins.
Awesome.
You introduced me to her. I just ordered some more coffee from her.
Yes. And the National Black Farmers Association is the largest farm organization, African American organization. We're a national organization with over 116,000 members across the country, and all of our events and our conferences are completely free to attend. We don't charge for our conference. And I can't say that about these other, organizations and the work we do. When people call, we don't ask, well, what's your membership number? Have you paid your dues? It's nothing about that. And that's why, I was so excited to have her come to Shreveport from Chicago and to hear what they were doing there and how we could help support it and connect the farmers, because coming to market is very important.
Yeah, and they gave me a great opportunity to speak, and I'm so grateful because I made some wonderful connections that we still use today.
So Ena, what I hope we can do, because now Ena, I'm gonna first make sure the people of Chicago, our biggest audience, know why you matter so much. But then I want you to help me tell our audience why Mrs. Boyd and what they do matters so much. So let me first say why Ena matters so much to everyone. First and foremost, you already know Black women have and continue to be leading the charge in our communities. We need the brothers to step strong and back you guys up, but the Black women is definitely the powerhouse, and you guys control the purse strings too. And so Ena is opening up physical storefronts from an organic food perspective, and with the direction of society being more robo and on demand and come to me, Ena is right there doing it. So she's having mobile organic stores too. Like I said, if we not circulate money with each other, we suffocating. So Ena, clean up what I just said about what it is that you're doing and when can we expect to see that in Chi-Town?
Oh yeah, we're opening some convenience market cafes. Our first one will be in Mountville. We're just waiting on the city inspection. And then we are also doing mobile grocery stores. So it's kind of like a food truck, but it has grocery. And we're going to drive from community to community, community to community with the mobile food trucks. We have one bus ready to go. And once that one bus is approved by the city, we have 3 ready to go into rotation also. We have warehouse space for refrigerated trucks, and just bought a farm in Poulon, Georgia, so that we can own more than 70% of our supply chain. So and assist other farmers with getting GAP certified and things like that, so that they can come on board and be able to supply across state line.
Now, is what you do in competition in contrast to what the National Black Farmers does?
No, not that I know of, no. Definitely, we definitely support, support them and want to support their members.
See that? Awesome. So, can you tell people that's watching? You already met them, you heard them. Like, why do they matter from your perspective? The National Black Farmers Association.
Oh, definitely, in so many ways, they matter to what we do because collectively, everybody needs to support Black farmers. We really have to help them not only increase their economic threshold, but help them to be able to survive and compete. And and with them being bringing the farmers together and having that membership and having that a powerhouse of 116,000 farmers to be able to speak and lobby and ask questions and demand things, from government, from people, and things like that is important.
So,
For their survival and ours,
big
because
time.
Yeah.
Now that's what I was gonna say. So the stage is set for you. How long you guys been doing it, and what it is you do, and what can the average person do on the block to support what you guys are doing and to help themselves?
Well, my husband says he's the fourth generation farmer, and I just say, we've been farming since time immemorial. Because growing and feeding ourselves is very important. And a lot of people want to equate farming with slavery. And it's not. Actually, farming and growing and producing your food is an act of liberation. He who controls the food controls the man. And we also know that land is power. And so the National Black Farmers Association was actually formed, not formally, but more informally in the late 80s, but more official in the 1990s. And so my husband, Dr. Boyd, actually bought his first farm from a Black farmer, an older statesman who was being foreclosed on by the United States Department of Agriculture in 1987 at the age of 18 out of high school. What young man is out there buying a farm, 110-acre farm, wow, from a farmer who's being foreclosed on? And so, I'm going to be a farmer, and so he took on this task, and he found himself in a very similar situation as the elder farmer did. And USDA, wanted to foreclose on him. And the Black farmers, they were going into USDA and they were struggling to get money. And there were things that were happening to them that they didn't see happening to their neighbors, to the white farmers. And so they began to talk to each other and to write letters and to complain because they could file grievances. And lo and behold, my husband was one of the few, if not the first, to actually receive a settlement for discrimination with the United States Department of Agriculture. And I've seen that settlement agreement. It was in 1997, and they agreed to forgive his debts because of the accounting areas. And the Black farmers were required to have supervised bank accounts. So the other farmers in there didn't have to have that. And what happened with my husband, he was making payments, and the farm loan manager, which it was Farmers Home Administration at the time, told him, "Oh, you just write it out to me and I'll put it in there." And so when they went back and they did the accounting and they checked, there were payments that were never posted to his account. And so the farm loan manager said, "Oh, I just put it in on someone else's account," and come to find out there was no one else with that account.
They kept the money?
Yeah, they were getting the money in. The Black farmers, it was their against the loan manager. So who are they going to believe? And so, looking back in time, even Ed Bradley from 60 Minutes came down here to Mecklenburg County, Virginia, and did a story. My husband, when he took the mule and wagon to DC to draw attention to this issue, was on Peter Jennings. He was the ABC Person of the Week. And so there were, historical times when there was national attention on the story. And the farmers, the Black farmers, ended up, they've lost thousands, millions of acres of land, but they were able, through a court decision, a class action, able to receive compensation. It was not enough. And then after the filing deadline, 83,000 Black farmers said, hey, I was discriminated against too. So my husband went back and fought another, I think it was 10 to 12 years to get the second payout, which is known as NRA Black Farmers Discrimination Case. That was actually paid out in 2013. And what's really sad is today, I'm sitting here in Southside, Virginia, still answering calls because people, are just now hearing about this lawsuit,
So,
I want to know how I get my $50,000, but, lo and behold,
so just to bring it back so our people can understand, are food deserts intentionally created in Black neighborhoods, whether it's Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland? What's your take on that? So they can see why what you guys fought for matters.
Yeah, it definitely matters. And that's about the liberty and the ability through USDA with these taxpayer dollars to be able to grow and produce your food. And I would say, there's no minimum land size. And so when I come to Chicago and I went to over in Cook County, and people were able to grow food, but they weren't able to sell it. So that's an economic injustice. And so when you're looking at these food deserts and you see people, usually that don't look like us, but they're making six figures on a rooftop on a half an acre. And we have families with hundreds of acres of land and can barely pay the taxes.
Now can we pause there, Ina? Did you know about that? Like in Cook County in Chicago?
I heard about it. Yeah, I heard about it. When I talked to a couple urban farmers, when I talked to, I try not to say urban farmers, when I talked to them, so I really didn't understand so I kind of, let it go by the wayside, but I definitely heard about it, but I didn't know the extent of it.
So that means you can't sell, like, what? Okay, so Mrs. Boyd, how can Ina sell her produce, her items, if that's the law of the land in Cook County?
Well, and that's where we have to go back and we have to challenge the zoning, the municipalities, because you have federal law, you have state law, and then you have local municipalities and zoning. And in some areas, you may have some, restriction that says you can only have 8 hens, you can't have a rooster. And so, but those 8 hens are still going to eggs, you just won't have fertilized eggs. And so you could do egg production, but you couldn't do a hatchery. You wouldn't be able to sell like meat birds unless you were just, raising to a certain point. And so when you're growing and producing like your herbs, like I shouldn't use so I'm gonna monitor if I get too wound up, and I'll speak a little slower, that there's no minimum land size requirement to have a farm, okay? And you can grow on your windowsills, you can grow on your balcony, and you can take that and develop a business plan and be able to sell and produce income from that. And so that's where the economic injustice comes from, is that people were able to grow food, but they weren't legally able to sell it. They could donate it and they could gift it. But and
that's why I was trying. So what you just said, because I read about that in Florida, that's why I was trying to check with Ina, who's there on the ground in Chicago, which passes a lot of laws. If you heard or seen any of that, Ina, restrictions wise, because we got a Black county president and Black mayor. So are you seeing those restrictions, Ina?
No, I haven't. Like I said, I heard about it, but I haven't. I thought it might have been like that particular urban farmer. I didn't know that it was a standard.
Okay.
Because a lot of them are doing things on lots, on vacant lots and things like that. So I thought it might have been that particular case, but I didn't know it was that wide of an issue.
No, I'm asking. So Mrs. Boyd, is that like? Did you check the ordinance? Can you do you know if it's still on the books in Cook County, Illinois?
I don't know if it's still there, but it's an issue I've been raising for I think about 4 years now. Mm-hmm. Since we visited there, I went there as a part of a collective group, Roots and Remedies. That's a gathering that's held annually by the Praxis Project. And one of the tours that we visited, one of the sites was actually the community farm there across from the county jail, Cook County. And so that was an issue that was raised. And every time I've had an audience and someone who would give me ear, I've raised that with the local politicians. and the organizations, because to me, it was just economic injustice to say these people are being forced to, buy food from others. And I was looking at a statistic today that said 1 in 10 Asians own a business, and 1 in 158 African American or Black people, own a business. And so those are the things when we look at self-employment, and the fact that farming and agriculture, there's no minimum age, there's no maximum age, and there's no education requirement. So it's, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we actively engaged in agriculture? And I think it comes back, and that's my answer to your question, if it's done by design in food deserts, because he who controls the food controls the people and the power source. And so now you have Walmart actually getting into food production and dairy and some of these costs. And so I'll just give you an example. If within some of those communities there in Chicago, if people were growing tomatoes and chilies and these herbs, and they were able to get their farm serial number, which means at the end of the year, they're going to file a Schedule F. And so they're going to report that farm income like many other small businesses do when they file a Schedule C. And so now they're able to, look at the profit and losses, but they're also able to contact FNS, Food Nutrition Services, and apply for an EBT machine. So then that way people can buy from them using their SNAP benefits. Imagine keeping those dollars in our communities, just a little bit longer. And with those EBT machines, you're able to not only buy the produce, you would also be able to buy edible seeds and plants. And you'll be able to grow your own food. They call it the SNAP garden. And so it's these kind of things when we're looking at food deserts. And here in Virginia, there was some legislation that was being put forward to incentivize 7-Eleven and convenience stores to create shelf space in food deserts. And I said, well, aren't you putting the cart before the horse, because you haven't done anything for those farmers to be able to grow the food to get it there? So if no one's supporting and, generating capacity within the growers and the producers to be able to supply that demand, within ourselves, instead of someone else coming in, or, Walmart's being half forced to go into some of these mega box stores to purchase. And so, if someone in your neighborhood is growing and producing, even if it's a tailgate stand or a mobile market coming through, and you're able to use your SNAP benefits, that's of great value, especially if you could buy 2 tomato plants for $2 and grow tomatoes, all summer, as opposed to paying $2 for 1 tomato.
No, but it goes back to circulation suffocation. We need to keep as much as we can in the house. So that just makes sense. Now, Kevin Taylor, one of our owners of Gary Real Estate, said, what is it to get an EBT machine? Like, what's the process?
Well, you got to get certified, get a application with the USDA, and get a FNS number, and get a POS system that once you get approved to, and which means you can't owe the state any money, you can't have defrauded the EBT system. And once they go through all of that, then because we just got our FNS number.
So you can't be can you be an ex-felon and do this, or you can't?
I don't know. I guess a case-by-case basis. But then you just got to get a POS system that takes the EBT, and that's it.
What was you saying, Kyle?
And that's one of the services that the MBFA provides. And in fact, at our conferences, for several years, we had FNS there doing the applications on site, and people could choose between an iPhone or a mini iPad. And, the service was free for a year. And so why people weren't engaging and participating goes back to lack of knowledge. And I tell people there's Telegram, telephone, Telecara. If you don't want someone to know, they better not tell Kara, because I'm going to tell it.
But I think it's like, for us as a people, when you've been traumatized, what you want more than anything else is to feel like you got backup. All right. So with what you guys,
And I think too, because of our trauma and where we're at, a lot of times we choose to remain off grid because we don't want to be bothered, and some and some stuff like that. But those are taxpayer dollars. Okay, those are your dollars. and they're going to support people. And if you're not getting it, then someone else is. And a lot of these monies are allocated for socially disadvantaged. And when they go unused, then they roll back into the larger pots where, you know, other populations can receive those fundings. And so that's why I want to say to people, when people say, oh, go to USDA, you know, that there are 16 agencies at USDA. And not all of them deal with food and farmers. You're looking at USDA rural development. And even though you may not be able to get a 502 housing loan in Chicago, in the city limits of Chicago, there are some outlying rural areas that you will be able to get 502 housing where you have no money down. And so, and even if you're in Chicago and you want to relocate to buy that farm in Georgia or Mississippi or California, those are national programs, and you can do those across the country.
So this bringing it back, because this is the way I see it. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. So you guys are the institution, training, and facilitation. That's what the way I see you guys, this National Black Farmers Association. And then the way I see ENA and the little ENAs is we got to make sure we got boots on the ground to engage, physically touch, and transfer money around with each other, food for products. Y'all see that way too?
Absolutely. You know, we're here, and, you know, like I said, we're fighting the battle and we're trying to hold space. And, you know, I encourage everyone, and there's a strategy. People talk about voting, right? But how many people know that FSA County Committee Farm Service Agency, like I said, the Department of Agriculture, and then you have the agencies. So you have Farm Service Agency. And in every county, even in Cook County, there is a Farm Service Agency. And there's a county committee that's making decision on how that money is going to be spent in that county. And everyone with a farm serial number. So if you had, you know, growers and producers, let's say they're growing mint, they're growing basil, they're growing their tomatoes, their chilies, they're farming, okay? They're growing and producing food. And another little tidbit of information there is, although there is no minimum land size requirement, there also is a stipulation where you have to have the ability, the potential to gross $1,000 annually. And so that's a part of the farming and the business. And, you know, when I shared with you earlier about gardening, you know, a lot of times when you go to FSA or USDA and you use the term gardening, that's equated to a hobby and a pastime. Where if you're farming, that's a business, and a farmer is an occupation. Okay. And so when you start to,
and see, that's why we want to help them reach those thresholds. You know, we want to help them reach those $1,000, $25,000 thresholds to be able to qualify for more services from the USDA and all those other
$1,000. That's it. 1,000.
Yeah, but listen, you didn't even have to prove it yet. All you have to do is have the potential, the ability to do it. So if I told you you could go out there and maybe I mailed you a $3 mint plant, right? And then you harvested the leaves off of that mint plant and you sold fresh mint for $3 an ounce, okay? That's 10 to 15 leaves. And then you tuck those branches and you spread them out. And now you're growing fresh mint and you're doing cuttings and you're selling your cuttings for, you know, you're repotting them and you're selling them for $3. And now you're harvesting mint and you're drying it. Now you're selling mint tea and, you know, and you're using e-commerce. That's how you can get that EBT machine, because now you've got farm hours, you've got store hours. And, you know, you can accept using your EBT machine not only SNAP benefits, but you can also accept debit and credit cards. And so those are the things that we're seeing, you know, this is about a business. And if you use that business model and that mindset, and now, I mean, because it's your small business and you're doing it for home, now you can write off your home office, you can write off a portion of your utilities and, you know, your taxes and your automobile if you're doing transportation. There's so many things that are there, you know, that I think a lot of people aren't taking advantage of. So imagine all the growers and producers, those people who are growing gardens, but are actually doing food plots, and are feeding their neighborhoods, they're feeding their families. If they went into USDA and they got that farm serial number, and now they could nominate and vote on who is sitting on those county committees making those decisions. Now we're making change. And so that's the role of the NBFA, is to really educate and do outreach and direct technical assistance for those farmers to actually grow. We have two programs. One's Let's Get Growing, and the other one, we call it our Regenerating Our Farms. And that's what we're looking at, because oftentimes people aren't equating a farm to a mortgage, to a business. And that is really the mindset where we feel like, we can make that change. We can address income equality and that wealth gap, and looking at how we prepare the next generation going forward. And so when you look at statistics in the United States, and only 3% of mortgages in the last year went to African Americans, and only 33%, I think 33 or 30% African American owned banks went to Black people. So you mean to tell me 66% of mortgages at Black banks went to non-Blacks?
Well, you got the Black McDonald's Association, who got a lot of other people working in McDonald's, so I'm not surprised. We got some work to do.
Right. Right, but we should be owning houses. We shouldn't be just paying rent. We shouldn't be, you know what I'm saying, going and purchasing food from everyone else. We should be actively engaged and knowing that those resources are available.
No, but that's why it's so good. National Block Club University working with National Black Farm Association. Going back to Ina though, because Ina, you tell me if this is if you can see this. You with the mobile stores, would you buy products from that person on 103rd and Union if he growing mint? Would you buy the mint, put it on the trucks, and now he got distribution through you, and now you're that supply chain for him?
Yeah, absolutely. That's our purpose. That is our purpose and our mission.
Well,
it's to help
people. Yeah, to make sure.
Oh, absolutely. That's our purpose, is to help them increase their economic threshold and to help them with information, like being able to refer them to the National Black Farmers Association for, to help build them up with the information that they have, and be that the catalyst to help them increase their economic threshold. We'll help them make money and a place to sell their produce, because it doesn't matter how much you grow if you don't have a place to sell it.
Yeah, distribution is part of it.
Because a lot of them are too small to supply Jewels and Walmart and all of these other stores. They don't want to be bothered, they don't produce enough. But we can produce enough. So even if they supply just a bus or just a store, if they just have a handful, or no matter what minimum they have to offer, we're at a level that we can buy it. So if they can supply one store, 10 stores, all the buses, we can help them. We can help with that. That's where we can.
No, and I just wanted the audience to hear that. That's the partnership. Like you say, the technical side is covered right here with Cara and them. That you're the mobile, the physical, the logistics. Now, let's talk about, there are people who don't want to see Black people do this. Now, there are some food companies that are buying these farms, right? And they want to keep control of the food. Is that accurate? Can you educate us on that?
Yes, and in fact, a lot of foreign entities are buying up our farmland. And that's why we have to be very proactive about it and making sure that we're controlling our food. Because I tell people, if you want to know what you're eating, then you need to grow it yourself or know who did. And so our food source and food sovereignty and food security is at play here. Smithfield, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it in Chicago, but it's a pork producing company. And it was acquired, I want to say, 3 to 4 years ago by a Chinese entity.
Yeah.
And so, we have our food sources who are actually owned and controlled by foreign entities. We're really putting ourselves in jeopardy for our food security. Our local grain bin, Dr. Boyd, here at our farm, we grow.
Health security, because they injecting them with different kind of salines and solutions and all kind of preservatives, and then they send it to China, process it, and then send it back here tampered with. Right. It's
right. Crazy. Because as farmers, we're grain farmers, and our local grain elevator in Petersburg, which is about an hour and a half away, was bought by Smithfield. And so, you know, they're buying up all of our wheat, all of our soybeans and all. And that's the thing is, you know, we as Americans, you know, don't know. And when you go to the grocery and you're buying food, Dr. Boyd and I in the organization worked very hard to get mandatory labeling for GMOs. And when you go to the grocery store now and you buy a food, you don't know if it's a GMO or not. And I'll give you an example. If you go to the grocery and you buy an apple and you've had that apple for 45 to 60 days and it hasn't started to turn brown, that might be a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many of you know
they
growing
all
up, you know, apple,
No,
Yeah.
in the bin and they all look just alike. All the apples look identical twins. That's
No,
a good.
I told my wife, she bought me some grapes. I love grapes. And normally after a week, they start turning brown. These grapes were still green. They were still plump. I said, wait a minute now. This might be made or
Yeah.
something. So I don't know, but I believe it was because it didn't turn like grapes all my life have.
Right. And the thing is, you know, what we advocated for is an educated consumer, you know, and you would be surprised there were even African-American legislators who voted against labeling, mandatory labeling. And the thing is, you know, but that is where, you know, corporate America and lobbyists really have, you know, influence decision making. And my thing is, when genetically modified is genetically engineered, it's when you start working with the DNA. And I'll give you an example. Strawberries, what they're doing and they've been working on is they found a gene in a zebrafish, a subarctic fish, and they wanted to splice the DNA, the genetic makeup of that zebrafish, and inject it in the strawberry so then the strawberries could survive the frost. So then that way we could have strawberries, you know, we wouldn't have to worry about them, you know, losing a crop when it frosts early. And so my thing is, you know, sometimes time down the road, you know, can tell us more things because we may not see the initial effects of some of these genetic mutations. And there's a difference between, I wanted to highlight the point, between a GMO and a hybrid. And so there's some things that you can graft and you can, you know, crossbreed, and that's not genetically modified. But when you start altering the DNA structure of a plant, then you're dealing with a GMO.
And to me,
so that's where we're at. We're not anti-science, you know, we believe in science, but we want to make sure that, you know, people have a right to know. And if these companies can make this food, label it GMO and ship it to foreign countries, they should be able to label it and leave it here.
Well, I would say this, that's a more all-inclusive approach, and that's a commendable one. I'm gonna go from a racial standpoint, and I believe locally grown, locally controlled, locally owned, like we need as a people, we need to make sure that we in control of our own economy. So anything from external, from the outside, it should definitely be fully transparent, and we know how much of that outside we're letting in. Because just like Chinatown, Greektown, and Little Italy, they got a closed economy. They make certain that that dollar rotates as much as possible before they let outside stuff in, you know?
Right. And that's the reason I was so glad that Ina and them came and what they're doing. And like she said, I connected her with Korea Hawkins. She's down in Jacksonville, Florida, and she has a pecan orchard. She does an organic farm. She sells greens and vegetables locally, but she also does an organic pecan coffee. And she was our farmer of the year. I can't remember which year that we always recognize one of our farmers. And that's the thing, is to be able to vet some of the farmers and to be able to help them with their outreach and with their marketing. And that's, you know, one of the important factors of being a part of an association, being a part of a group that actually has shared common goals, where we can, you know, make sure that the information is getting out there. And for those who may not have seen, the History Channel did a reality TV show. It's called The American Farm. And our family was featured on that last year, 2019. And so you can actually still watch it on Amazon Prime and I think Hulu. And you can actually see us. And there's a big difference between the farm and the other farms. We're the only farm of our own, you know, things, and we need to do it comfortable, you know, might come and say, hey, I'm going to give you $50,000, doesn't mean you take 50. You may only take 20. You know, you may say, hey, you know, I'm just going to take 10. But if you have the capacity and you can do it, with a financial safety net, and go for the 50. But what we're seeing is, engage, even in a small way in agriculture and your food production and your food security. If you're not growing and producing yourself, then help with those local farmers, growers, and producers who are,
Right.
with some of your waste products going into some of the composting and, recycling things that can help those farmers.
So because we coming close up on our time here, I want to make sure I paint this picture so people who just joined can know. Ina represents the logistics and making sure whatever you grow, as small as it is, can go to market and you can make money. All right. Cara, Mrs. Boyd, they represent your legal, technical training aspect, two separate parts, and it goes together, it fits together. I represent block by block, making sure we know every single person and that every single person can name at least 4 blacks that they did business with. Because if we can't do that, we hurting ourselves. Just like I say, Chinatown, Greektown, and Little Italy, they can name 20 and 30. We just saying, can you name 1 a week? And if we can't do 4, shame on us. So next Saturday, not January 9th, this is the first time both of you ladies are hearing this. January 9th is our Gary, Indiana National Farming Convention. It was called Gardening Convention until Mrs. Boyd got on me. Farming Convention. And our version of these conventions, we got to do it Zoom because of COVID. But the purpose of it, it allows us to go block by block, identify people who give a damn about growing our food, and then bringing them up from the block to meet the people like you and like Mrs. Boyd and Ina to take it to the next level. We're at the grassroots level, getting to know the people, bring them up to the surface. So that's what this, consider our conventions a recruiting station. We recruit them up, then you guys take it from there. What do y'all think?
Yes, and that's what we're here for. And like I said, people can email us, they can call us. I encourage everyone, if you're growing and producing, and a lot of our families have dormant land or they have air property, let's take control of that. Let's make sure that the properties are being paid and that individuals aren't coming out and using our lands for dumping and for other things that aren't going to be beneficial for us. And so there are a lot of resources out there, and I'm here if there's anything I can do to help sharing information. Would love to do that.
And one of the things that we are offering farmers is to help them create value stores. So if they make a barbecue sauce or a spaghetti sauce or whatever with the products, with the produce that they grow, we want to help them create. I'm a chef and an herbalist, so we want to help them create value added products and show them how to package it, market it, and be able to sell it in our stores.
But in a restaurant,
right? And just playing up on.
No, go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
I was just going to say, playing up on what Ina's saying, in the block by block. So if you have someone in your neighborhood that's making, pepper jelly, or they're making chow chow, and you can get 3 or 4 neighbors to come in with a raised bed or some space and start growing those chilies or those ingredients. And for those individuals who do that, as long as you're growing one of the ingredients in your value added product, then there's funding, there's monies for that. And so that's what, we want to make sure that we're getting people to the next step. We want to grow your capacity. And the thing is, a lot of times people downplay and don't find that what they're doing is significant when it really is. There are many people in up north in Chicago and places who were taught by their grandparents, how to grow food, and they were growing it in small spaces, and they can do that. And there's monies to help them to do that. And working collectively, you may be able to get 5 growers who can grow and produce something, and it be enough to make some of those products that Ina can sell in some of the mobile stores.
So, but now, I was saying to you, restaurants, black restaurants in particular, chefs, they should know you. They should know what you're doing, because they can be purchasing from you for their food that they're producing in their restaurants. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. We have the capacity to to offer beef, pork, a slew of vegetables, all kinds, so we're gearing up to stock our warehouse, and be able to let people know, that they can get wholesale from us.
Yeah, well, we got the national restaurants list, black restaurants all the way from Memphis, New Orleans, Chicago, and I think the chefs too. So when we put that together and they see what we're doing, and we working in concert with the National Black Farmers Association. Now, what is membership? Do you mind asking so people can have an idea? Is it this crazy dollar amount they can't afford?
No, and this is our approach. We never really emphasize the membership. It's $100 a year, and it's a nonprofit. It's a 501c3, so that is tax deductible, and it goes to help cover the overhead.
No,
but like I said, our programs and services are free of charge. We don't, charge that. And the thing is, we don't want people to feel like, that is a part of any of the lawsuits. And so with the Black Farmers scam, there are people who are still paying $100 a year thinking they're going to get $50,000. And so, that's one thing that we've done is we've said, look, paying a membership and joining our association and supporting the work that we're doing is not tied in any way to the lawsuits. You should never pay money to participate in a class action. And all the cases are closed and settled, so there's nothing in court. But, like I said, the membership is $100 a year.
Okay.
If people, see value in what we're doing and they want to support us, we appreciate it. But don't not call because you're not a paying member.
Exactly. But that's a great point. No, that's a great point. I had 3 questions come in. They want to know what's the plan for the youth. Some people want to know, and someone says they have egg rolls that they want to get to market. That's for you, Ina. It looks like veggie egg rolls. So how do you guys respond to what's the plan for our young people to get excited to go into these fields, this area?
Well, I would say that, when you're looking at agriculture, you're looking at food science, you're looking at nutrition, just like Ina said, even shelves, food science. There's so many needs, even soil scientists, biologists. There's so many opportunities to participate within the field of agriculture, even agribusiness. And so we're asking individuals to look at those spaces and look for those scholarship opportunities, and to know that there's no minimum age. My granddaughter, when I take her to the market, way outsells me. She can sell more eggs than I can, in a week, in a matter of hours. And so encourage the youth. You hear about people starting lemonade stands. Guess what? If they had a lemon tree or they were adding the ginger or something to that, then that becomes a value-added product. And so that's what we're trying to say to people is, even for our youth, to get them engaged and to give them an actual opportunity. Most counties have 4-H. 4-H is funded through the cooperative extensions, and it's by USDA. And so there are programs out there that have allocated taxpayer dollars to assist our youth. Also, scholarships for college. And we just want to make sure that, if there's anyone out there, young or old, no matter the age, you can start, and you don't have to wait till you're, 18 to 20 years old. I want to say to young people who are out, maybe recent graduates, to want to buy a house with no money down, look at the USDA housing program. And so don't think that you have to wait until you're way older. Dr. Boyd at 18 years old bought his first farm. So that's what we want to say to the youth, is that you're never too young to get started. You can start now and have that entrepreneurial mindset. We're here to you.
That's beautiful, beautiful. Ina, what about the egg question? Veggie eggplant.
Are they a farmer, or are they a home cook? Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
If they're a farmer, they can definitely send me their information, and we can, I won't make a promise, because we do have somebody who we are interested in selling their egg rolls. So we try not to compete, but as we grow, then we can bring on more competing products.
Yeah, I think she's joking, but she's one of our superstars out of Gary, Indiana. So eventually you'll meet her.
No, you ain't gotta. You definitely don't have to joke with me. Or please don't joke with me, because I take every interaction, you know, as a potential
Yeah.
connection.
Now, all right, ladies, thank you guys. Can you leave a phone number or contact information how people can reach you guys?
Yes, they can call 804-691-8528. And our website is all spelled out, nationalblackfarmersassociation.org, or they can do blackfarmers.org. Dr. Boyd also has a website, johnboydjr.com. And people can email me directly as well. The acronym for the association, N as in Nancy, B as in boy, F as in Frank, A as in Apple, .kara, K-A-R-A, @gmail.com.
Perfect. Ina?
They can go on our website, which is rootsandvineinc.com, rootsandvineinc.com, and they can send us a message, or they can join our farmer vendors list. That's a good way for us to keep track of all the people, all the farmers who are interested in our services, and to get more information. We also have a Facebook page called Black Farmers Resource for Profitability and Advancement, so they can join that Facebook group. We share a lot of grant information, a lot of resources and information, for farmers, urban gardeners, 4-H programs, anything that we find resourceful for farmers, how to create value-added products, services from other agencies like protection, how to protect your farm, how to, grow things, because we get so many new farmers, that I'm finding as well, people who've never farmed before. So a lot of resources are on that page, and they can send us a message through there as well.
And Everett Berry, I wanted him to get on. I don't know what happened. When we meet again, let's talk about hemp, because that's what he's focused on, is how we've been totally excluded from the marijuana side, the hemp side. So I love to hear, Ms. Boyd, your view on that, Ina, your view on that, but that's a conversation for another time. Thank you, ladies. And please, please stay strong and let's grow together.
Nice seeing you again, Cara.